Am I really going to do this? Well, I guess I am. There's no going back now, I suppose.
Remote Studio. Warning, this information has been classified. Warning, this information has been classified.
Hello, guys. My name is. Well, no, that's not important. I'm a researcher that investigates government entities and extra government entities. Right now, my focus is on the SCP Foundation, and I have covered some of their secrets in previous data logs already. In my haste to uncover these secrets, I realized that I hadn't actually covered the Foundation itself. This worldwide organization functions with near impunity over the anomalous world, supposedly to keep you safe at night. Since its founding, this organization has maintained a state of anonymity despite its worldwide influence and questionable moral boundaries, especially when it comes to completing its mission. Today, we're going to go deep into the guts of the Foundation, despite my better judgment, and reveal what's so special about this institution. The crazy thing is, I already believe that my cover has been blown, and due to my success in infiltrating the Foundation's security multiple times, I believe that I may be a target of some of the Foundation's rivals as well. I'm sure they want to know how I'm able to do this so frequently. Gaining access to files on the Foundation is infinitely more dangerous than taking a couple of files on safe SCPs. The organization enjoys its secrecy, and information leaks that could expose the operations to the public are taken very seriously. For the sake of their security and for my own safety, I'm going to keep some of their information vague, as the threat of the Foundation's enemies using my information to attack their facilities and unleash who knows what horrors upon the world is a very real threat. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the founding of this massive organization and its two possible origins. When it comes to breaking down the fine details of an organization this old and with connections around the world, it could come across as overwhelming. First off, the organization we more commonly know as the SCP Foundation actually has many names and guise companies within it. While members of the SCP Foundation may also refer to themselves as Foundation employees, the true name of this organization is largely unknown, possibly even anti-memetic. However, that's a theory for another day. The Foundation was established to follow and maintain several key principles which separates it from other organizations that deal with the anomalous. Supposedly, the first key principle is the name SCP, which is not only short for the designation given to the new digitized documents in the Foundation's archive, but also stand for Secure, Contain, Protect, which is arguably the main goal of the Foundation. While I will admit the Foundation has managed to accomplish this task far better than their contemporaries, they had to give up a level of humanity to do so. The Foundation is a massive conglomeration of people, which means that they are fallible, and the sheer size of this organization means that not everyone is going to be on the same page on what constitutes as morally okay as it pertains to these SCP objects and entities. At some point, the Foundation realized that there is a very real possibility that the organization could become just as bad, if not worse, than the entities they contained. This fear that the organization would one day spiral into the abyss would eventually propagate into the second key principle: cold, not cruel. This statement meant that the Foundation is to act in a logical manner when it comes to containing SCPs. For example, an SCP that has the appearance of a little girl, and by all accounts is physically and psychologically a small child, maybe shouldn't be treated like a monster locked in a cage or dissected if it is not necessary and serves no significant purpose. At the same time, proper protection and caution should always be adhered to, as not following this protocol could lead to the unnecessary loss of life. At the same time, human lives, such as those of the D class, should not be carelessly thrown away if human sacrifice is not required. While this sentiment is pretty, the application of this philosophy would require another level of oversight. So, the principle of cold, not cruel, would not be made into an official failsafe against the decaying morality of the Foundation until the establishment of the Ethics Committee in 1936. They are supposedly the heart of the Foundation, if you could call it that. They ensure that the Foundation never crosses a certain moral line. This line, much like the rest of the massive organization, is as gray as it comes. The Ethics Committee has prevented the Foundation from committing atrocities, but good is not a moral spectrum that the Foundation has ever tried to claim. At the same time, the Ethics Committee has approved some of the most horrendous actions the Foundation has ever committed for reasons only known to them and the upper echelon of the Foundation. The last core principle of the Foundation was stated by the administrator, who we will go into great lengths later on, trust me, which he summarized the true mission of the Foundation. Mankind must never go back to hiding in fear. No one else will protect us, and we must protect ourselves. That's just a quote from the man, or woman, and it's a perfect summation of the greater whole of the SCP Foundation's purpose. The Foundation is scared of the unknown unknowns. It seeks out answers to the unaskable questions so that they may peer into the forbidden knowledge. This is why the Foundation can operate the way it does, and why their organization is at its core the most terrifying organization I have ever researched. While I am not a fan of many of the actions the Foundation has taken, I do understand the principles behind the massive unknowable shadow that is the SCP Foundation. Now that we have all of that out of the way, we can talk about the real meat and potatoes of the Foundation, starting with none other than its founding. Some people accredit this to SCP-001 Gate Guardian, which was proposed by somebody named Dr. Clef. Don't worry, I don't know him either. As the story goes, the founder approached this massive creature, and it told him something that would change him forever. The word prepare, which caused him to create the Foundation and the first core principle. Now, I don't know about you, but this sounds a little too much like, well, a ruse that a dictator would pull to give himself credence as to why he should rule. To me, this sounds like somebody asked, like, why was that guy given control of the Foundation? And someone else is just like, well, the founder created the SCP Foundation because he heard the voice of insert deity here. Or some giant flaming anomalous humanoid chicken man, who, mind you, is apparently the bouncer for a club too poppin' off for humanity. It doesn't quite fit the motif of the Foundation to glorify their own creation or their founder like this, which is why I don't think I've seen it corroborated. The Foundation is cold, it's logical, and this divine right by SCP-001 smells like something to hide the truth, while giving the people that work in the Foundation comfort in knowing that they are, to some level, accomplishing a divine goal. After all, SCP-001, the Gate Guardian's appearance and location are suspiciously close to that of a host of the angelic chorus in the Abrahamic religion. Some people of faith that know of the being believe it to be Uriel, although that is debatable. Don't get me wrong, I do think that the encounter with the Gate Guardian may have happened, but it was not the cause of the Foundation's creation. Just its last core principle, which is kinda its first tenet, a principle based in fear, which is best summarized by the administrator some 200 years later. Mankind must not go back into hiding in fear. While it has been difficult to find any information on the Foundation this early in its history, it's not impossible. Amnestics were not around yet, and much of the Proto-Foundation's existence is well documented outside of the Foundation if you know where to look. The incident with the Gate Guardian took place on an excavation in June of 1789. For my own safety, I will not say the name of the founder. However, this nameless organization the founder was with at the time was what we currently know as the Foundation. Evidence suggests that this organization operated in Western Europe for at least 150 years before its encounter with SCP-001. They operated very differently during this time, and the argument can be made that this organization is not the Foundation. For simplicity's sake, we're going to call this Proto-Foundation organization the House of Holes, as it might have been one of their pseudonyms. The House of Holes, unlike the Foundation, due to its limitation in technology and resources, relied on anomalous objects to identify other anomalous entities and objects. The House of Holes was deeply occult and worked closely with various magics and objects of power. They caught the attention of other groups which would eventually join. This would go on for some time until even handfuls of lords and ladies of nobility were in some way involved in the House of Holes throughout Europe. One of the biggest supporters of the group was a wealthy nobleman who only goes by Lord TTB in all the records I can find of him. Although this anonymity should be expected, this nobleman not only supported the group financially, but also provided them with some of their earliest anomalous tools to aid in their clandestine mission. The House of Holes philosophy was to protect the interests of humanity against the occult and arcane, as they believed anomalies to be. They were no fools. They knew that there were things beyond their current capability, so they mainly steered populations away from dangerous anomalies that they could not hope to understand, eliminate, or contain. It should come as no surprise that the father of the individual we know as the founder was the first person in the House of Holes to attempt scientific explanation of the anomalous. His research into the anomalous and the scientific method he used became the backbone of a new movement within the order. In his attempts to explain the reality-altering effects of anomalous beings and objects, he began to first to recognize what is called extra-real reality. In its simplest terms, this philosophy states that reality as it should be is the actual flow of reality, and any alterations to this normal flow is extra real reality. These changes happened by breaking the normal flow of reality and what is real through a scientific understanding of reality at a level that is not currently understood by the humans of the time. This would split the House of Holes, as many members still believe that science had no place in their order. What happened to the early splinter groups is unknown, but most of them are most likely defunct. It was at this time that the mission of the House of Holes changed. Now they wish to understand and prevent anomalous interactions between humanity and the unknown. When the founder came into the picture, the organization already had several generations of leadership. On top of that, the organization already changed its core philosophy to one ready to embrace science and research over occult and arcane. For this reason, the Gate Guardian may have given the founder a command unlike any other it's given before or since. After the encounter with the Gate Guardian in 1789, the founder became obsessed with the scientific methods employed by his father in order to further understand anomalies. During this time, the House of Holes started to look more like the modern SCP Foundation, and this is what led to the acronym SCP: Secure, Contain, Protect. Mankind at its present state has been around for 250,000 years, yet only the last 4,000 have been of any significance. So, what did we do for nearly 250,000 years? We huddled in caves around small fires, fearful of things we didn't understand. It was more than explaining why the sun came up. It was the mystery of enormous birds with heads of men and rocks that came to life. So we called them gods and demons. We begged them to spare us, and we prayed for salvation. In time, their numbers dwindled and ours rose. The world began to make more sense when there were fewer things to fear. Yet, the unexplained can never truly go away, as if the universe demands the absurd and impossible. Mankind must not go back to hiding in fear. No one else will protect us, and we must stand up for ourselves. While the rest of mankind dwells in the light, we must stand in the darkness to fight it, contain it, and shield it from the eyes of the public, so that others may live in a sane and normal world. We secure, we contain, we protect. The Administrator. With that, we are done with the early history of the Foundation and its mysterious founding. While I would like to say that this is the true history of the massive organization, I cannot say with certainty. Much of the accounts that I found in my research was more like hearsay as opposed to hard facts. The Foundation may very well have planted all of the evidence I found to throw us off the trail entirely. For now, that's it for this video. We'll be continuing our look into the SCP Foundation another day. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe and comment down below. If you didn't like the video, please be sure to like and subscribe and tell your friends about it, then come back next week to see if I do any better. Anyways, I'm out.